Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. Thanks for watching on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. Mike Palm coming up in 15 minutes. We'll ask him if fading aces making their third start is a wise idea, and we might have a team in the NHL going from leading their division to missing the playoffs. Yeah. How do you like that? Yeah. I'll ask you on the air what I asked you off the air. How dead do you think my Hornets division ticket is now? I did take a little bit of Boston money line just to win the game last night, hoping I would lose. I should have been betting Boston in play the whole game, which I did not. Do I bet the Hawks tonight to win? They get the Cavaliers tonight. They get them again after this game.
Right. I think they'll beat them Friday. See what happens tonight in play. But with the magic number only one, minus 1,400 now at DraftKings, I would say no.
What is that number if the Hornets hang on to win that game last night?
Well, it gets interesting.
Oh, very much so.
Oh, that. And Atlanta goes to Miami on Sunday. I don't see what Miami's motivation is with that one, too. Uh-huh. But their magic number's one. OKC's magic number's one. Are you surprised they're playing people? I guess easy win against the Lakers, but a back-to-back? I would just relax tonight and hope the Spurs lose.
Well, there's still plenty of time. They could do that.
I mean, that's strange that they would do this, but I guess they want to lock it up and then rest for a week and a half.
Well, let's be honest, Paul. They could probably sit 6 guys tonight and still win the game.
Yeah, they could, yeah. Clippers need it. Tough blow for L.A. That OKC's playing everybody, and L.A. trying to get the 8 seed. Portland a dog, and San Antonio as well, small dog, although key players are out for the Spurs. And Portland also hosts the Clippers on Friday, which is big. One other thing to mention from that Atlanta game, Alexander Walker props, $750 now to win most improved. Huge move.
I mean, the kid's having a great year, but we cannot ignore Duren.
I know.
I believe Bill Simmons said that he's going to have Duren second-team All-NBA.
And Windhorst thought last week Duren was a shoo-in for the award.
Right.
Oh, okay. 7 of the last 8 games, he scored 20 points or more. I would look at his prop over tonight points, and he was awesome in the loss against the Knicks the other night.
You're on Duren now you're talking about? Or
that's Alexander Walker.
Okay, yeah.
Alexander Walker.
Also, in that game, Okonkwo for Atlanta, his points prop, 15 pluses plus 105. Opta AI projects almost 17 points out of him tonight. So they like that bet. That was the bet with their biggest edge tonight in terms of points by a player in the NBA. We'll see how high this number goes. Again, at last check, Donovan Mitchell still questionable for the game. And the Cavaliers up to a full 3-point favorite now at home.
It could be we play the guys for a half job, too. So Atlanta's 34 losses, Toronto 35, Philly 36, Orlando 36. Mm-hmm. It's a mess. But as I said earlier, it's right there for Cleveland to determine their seed by losing the next 2, which would be the 4, and locking in a 4 or 5 against Atlanta, which they've done stuff like this in the past.
I'll give you some other Opta AI stats. Again, vsin.com, where you can check them out. Become a vSIN Pro subscriber today. This is the Thunder Clippers game that you talked about for Brook Lopez. Opta AI, they love him to have 10 plus, and that's a plus number tonight on that number. And 2 plus 3s at plus 102, they think is a good bet as well. Those are 2 of the biggest edges that they have on the website. The Mavs Suns game, I lost like 3 different props last night with Cooper Flagg. 25 points, 11 minutes to go in the game. Doesn't score again. That one hurt. I'm not going to lie. And they're on a back tonight catching the... How about the Suns game last night? Blasting the Rockets, and they got killed in the game.
Yeah, it was also 21-2 Clippers, and then it was 47-42.
Sure. Yeah, they led 7. The first tick I got in the game was 17-0.
Correct.
I'm like, hello. Mm-hmm. But the Mavs recently, on a back-to-back, which is what they're playing tonight, 24-point loss to Milwaukee, 18 to the Pelicans, 33 to the Cavaliers, 20 to Boston, and by 19 points to this lowly Memphis Grizzlies team. Flagg's prop tonight, again, is hovering around 25.5, 26.5. Julian Edlow, great bet yesterday that he gave out and was a winner, was his first quarter props. And that one cashed, no problem, flew over that. It's either 5.5 with juice or 6.5 plus money tonight for him to score that many points in the first quarter.
You can clean up, but it's difficult because you have to find the guys that are going to score. And there's so many unknowns or so many guys that haven't put up big numbers that you hardly know or hardly get any minutes that are putting up sick numbers. And if you look at the Dallas game, it's like who's going to join in on the fun? Bagley was great last night, but who's going to help out? But still, even though it lost, I would take the plus money that he scores 30 because the shots are going to be there.
Yeah, and some of these guys are not even posted on the props page, by the way. Guy I mentioned yesterday, Conrad Ryan for the Bucks. He went off again last night, 14 points. I think he had 3 threes. I didn't see him listed anywhere.
Yeah, look what Memphis is doing.
For sure.
They just called up all these guys on 10-day contracts, and they're playing 30 minutes.
Now, I'll have to double check into this. I'm going to put this out there. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Can sports books post players on 10-day contracts? I think there's a rule about that.
No, I believe you're right. That's why who was the point guard? The guy for Dallas kept lighting it up from an assist standpoint, and we said, where are his props? Yeah, you're right. That's the rule.
Yeah, so a lot of these guys you probably won't even find on them. Let me tell you about this game. The Grizzlies taking on Denver, and the latest total here, in my notes this morning, I had 243.5. It's 247, and Denver's laying 23 in this game. So the Grizzlies are on a 7-2 overrun. Some of the points they've allowed in their last 20 games, 142, 146, 131, 130, 132, 139. I mean, it's to the moon. I think the fewest points they've allowed their last 20 games is 117. Denver has scored 137, 136, and 130 in their last 3 games, but the 2 highest scoring games there were both overtime games. Their team total tonight, it's actually gone up a little bit. It was 133.5 earlier today. Here would be my hesitation on betting the over for the game or a Denver team total over, and that is they're a 23-point favorite now. What if this game is 100-69 going to the fourth quarter?
I think you're still good. I think you're going to be okay.
At some point, they just, with only a couple of games left, my personal fear is they could easily take the foot off the gas tonight and cruise to a 128 to 106 type of victory. But on that note, again, 3 more players opt to AI. They're high on 3 different guys for Denver tonight. Joker, 25 plus minus 116. Tim Hardaway, 12 plus minus 127. And Jamal Murray, 23 plus a minus 116, if you can find those numbers. They all have those players going over by 2.5, 3 points tonight in the game.
Well, Denver, San Antonio in the conference semis would be unbelievable in that game they played Saturday. And they're also getting a good performance by Cam Johnson, who's found his shot. And Chad Andrus, friend of the show from Denver, will be in studio Friday. Joker is going to lead the league in rebounds and assists. That's never happened before.
Yeah, he's 100-1 to win the MVP.
Yeah. It's silly, the numbers he's putting up.
Do you think Denver and Oklahoma City would be a bad second-round matchup? JVT is...
No, that's fine, but it's I think because every Denver-San Antonio game has been crazy with the scoring.
Sure. JVT
and plus it's Wemby against Joker, too.
I was going to say, he is convinced Denver will beat the Spurs if they play, and he thinks they can absolutely give Oklahoma City all they want in a 7-game series, much like last year.
I'm concerned about the defense, and I think the Spurs are better. The Spurs just, maybe you could point to the lack of big game experience, but they blew that game Saturday. So it also depends on the whistle, too.
Joker has unbelievable career numbers when he plays against Wemby, but you can probably say that about every single team that he's played against in his entire career.
Portland, San Antonio over? I think there'll be points in this game,
I think
too.
Portland's been playing a lot of those games, haven't they?
Yeah, and they got to be kicking themselves for what happened in Denver. They were awesome from 3, and they were up 18 in the fourth quarter, and Denver came back to get them. That's why Denver's going to get the 3 seed, and now Portland, as I said earlier, going to get this, should get a Clipper loss tonight. And if they can steal one, then they host the Clippers Friday. They win, they'll be the 8 seed. And I like Portland tonight. They've been great. Kamara's played well and averaging 13 a game on the season. He's $1.20 to score 15 tonight. He's been lighting it up for Portland. Who's scoring for San Antonio? Who's the guy who's going to go off here? Do I look at Fox with his PRA? Get everyone involved in a high-scoring game? Can Barnes maybe do something? I mean, this is the kind of stuff you have to... Johnson maybe can have a big game, but someone with a total this high in what could be a 130 to 120 type of game has got to go off for San Antonio with no Castle and no Wembanyama.
Don't look now. Johnson suddenly a $4 favorite to win 6th Man of the Year.
Yes.
So, by the way, if Wemby doesn't play in one of these games, I've thought about getting down on Holmgren Defensive Player of the Year, but I also, that's part of my brain. The other part says, why would you want to burn any money on this? Because there's a good chance San Antonio is just saving him for one game, plays 20 minutes, locks up the Defensive Player of the Year. It's that what if they don't do that, or what if he's not healthy enough. Holmgren's sitting there at plus 850 to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Tell people what you're doing with the Wolves again. because a ton of guys are sitting. It's up to 10.5. Orlando needs it, and Minnesota knows they're the 6th seed.
Yeah, I got alerted to this from our buddy Weston earlier, who's from Minnesota, by the way. And his great angle to me was Dante DiVincenzo, first quarter over 3.5 points at plus 125. He also recommended like a double-double out of him, which is 20 to 1 or higher. I would look at DiVincenzo most points scored in the game. Now, the question is here, how long is the guy going to actually play? Because what if, if the Magic, there could be a game plan, right, he only comes out and plays 18 minutes and then they put in the backups in the third string at that point. So I'd be very careful, but I think the first quarter props would be a good one from him. He also likes Bones Highland. And Weston, who is the original Average Joe here, the winner in this contest, very good at this in this racket. So
Highland isn't shy. He'll jack them.
Yep.
If you got a group chat full of hot takes, Cut was built for you. Cut is a social betting platform, lets you bet directly against your friends and other users on anything. Sports, politics, pop culture, even personal bets. Every bet is fully customizable and pre-funded, means no more chasing someone down when they lose. No excuses, no flakes, just results. Cut gives you cash back on every single bet you make, even against your friends, and you get a 20% deposit bonus on your first deposit when you use code VSIN. Head to cut.com, K-U-T-T, cut.com, or download in the App Store. Promo code VSIN. That's awesome. And bet against your friends on anything. Get it now. Get it today.
VP of Circa Las Vegas, Mike Palm next. Should we fade aces in Major League Baseball making their third start? And could this team go from leading their division to missing the playoffs?
This is Follow the Money on VSIN.
Wednesdays with the maestro, Mike Palm. He is the VP of Circa Las Vegas, the D and the Golden Gate. Joins us now in studio as he does every day, every week at this time. How are you, pal? Good to see you again.
Mitch, Paul, nice seeing you guys. Hope you enjoyed the tournament, made some money off of it. Exciting time of the year.
Where'd Michigan go in the draft?
Second or third, right?
Second. No sweat.
Second, yeah.
Piece of cake.
I think it was Florida 1, then Michigan 2, then
And
Duke,
Arizona was 4th.
Okay.
Duke
all right.
3.
UConn went 5th.
Interesting, right?
Yep. I got to meet the guy from who took UConn. He was a very good guy. Listens to the show all the time. His name, I don't want to give out his name on the air.
Do I know him?
I'll
Can you
tell
give
you
out
off
his
the air.
initials?
It starts with an M.
Oh, well, that narrows it down. Not a lot of male names that start with M, Mitch.
So anyway,
I have to tell you
though.
something. Hurley lured them into just the game that he needed to play to win. They just couldn't hit a shot.
Yeah, that's it.
They actually did. What'd they miss? Like 17 straight three-pointers?
Yeah.
Do you remember early in the game, and going left on your TV, Michigan missed like their first 2 little 2-point shots, and Rafferty said, "My God, these rims, those 2 shots both should have went in." Between the 2 sides, they missed like their first 21 on those rims, and then UConn hit 2 or 3 at the end. But nobody had made a 3 on those rims at that end.
That happened to Illinois against UConn as well.
Yeah.
All those shots at Illinois, or most of those shots at Illinois had go in and out or sitting there on the rim. That was on the left side. So strange. How about that?
Very strange.
Yeah. We're going to get to baseball here in a second, but Masters begins tomorrow.
Yeah.
Derek said the handle yesterday was absolutely awesome. I'm guessing that's continued.
They're writing 6 figures a day here leading up to the event. Just wait till the event starts. It's been really good action. So this is our big event of the year for golf, and we're not perfect at everything, but we do golf just about as well as anybody, if not better. So
it's great.
Kind of our Super Bowl in terms of how we do a betting event.
Too bad, no Tiger props. No Tiger, no Phil. That could have helped.
Yeah. He said 10.
What is this? The first time since
94.
Yeah.
How about that? Yep.
He said you guys will take 10,000 a pop, no problem on matchups. What will you take to win? Will you take to win like 500,000?
Yeah, well, we have liability on people. Remember, that was like 1.2 million on some of these events. And there's nobody this year. Couples is a big liability for us.
Boom, boom.
3 different people told me, listen, 3, I'm serious now, and I'm not purporting this because I don't know, although I do have a connection because everybody said he looks like me. 3 different people had told me to bet couples to make the cut. He's plus 425 right now. I just looked at Circa to make the cut. Meanwhile, people were betting him to win the event.
Come on.
That's
some back, maybe issue, something like that. Through the years,
that he's had for 30 years or whatever it's been now. Yeah.
Good-looking guy.
That is a straight donation.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You can book it. Put your number out there.
Yeah, I'll give you 5,001. What do you guys have on him?
We book it. No, we're not no 5,000.
I'll book 5,001 on
You're giving out more than 10 times the price.
Okay, it'll be okay. Can you elaborate a little bit? Got to clean it up.
Oh.
Of what you said last week, because I talked to one person who would know, and I talked to another person who is close. Talked to a guy who was on the team. He said life with Cassidy was a living hell. You were shocked at how he talked to the player. Now, this is the second time now we've seen a team fire a coach right before the playoffs.
3 years ago, and I'll tell you why. I always sat in I always sit in the suite or on the seats, but I took, maybe it was longer than, maybe 4 years ago. My son and my stepdaughter were both still in Little Knights, and it was the game that Derek goes out and makes his donation. He gives $100,000 to Little Knights every year. So he said, Mike, why don't you come out with me and Nicole and bring your kids? So we did. But, of course, we don't want to bring the kids in the suite. We, try to stay away from that in the seat. So I'd ask the Knights, and the Knights got us 3 tickets right behind the Knights bench. I mean, we literally were in the next row, sitting behind the Knights. I could not believe, and they were playing Montreal, and they were like a 240 favorite, and they were behind, and I think they'd come out and end up winning 4-2 or 5-3 or something. But they played really sloppy. I mean, all game long, I cannot say the words on air, but just screaming profanity. And I said, my God, is he like this every game, or are they just playing bad against a bad team and he's fired up? But look, Krejci left the Bruins and went back to Croatia because he couldn't stand playing for the guy. And as soon as he was gone, he came back. Now, I mean, it's not like it's a new discovery, though. I mean, it's been like that for years, right?
Well, they've won 4 in a row. The competition hasn't been the best.
They played the worst of the worst so far.
They took out Edmonton, no problem. And they go to Seattle tomorrow? This is fascinating. Who's going to win this division?
Well, you had a great take on this.
Well, Edmonton's going to win the division.
You think so?
I think the Ducks are in trouble of missing the playoffs.
So what is it? Yeah.
Ooh.
They've lost 6 in a row.
I thought you were talking about Detroit with the collapse.
Well, Detroit is an epic collapse.
What an epic! Yeah, 14 points up on the Flyers.
Ducks plus $3 to make the playoffs. I was at the window cashing the ticket 2 months ago.
Uh-huh.
All right, they've got 87 points. All right. L.A. has a game in hand at 83. San Jose has 2 in hand at 86, and San Jose is going there tomorrow night. They've got the Oilers at home tonight. Nashville's playing as well as anybody right now. But let me give you this stat. In all 22 games since the Olympic break, the Ducks have trailed. In all 22 games since the Olympic break, the Ducks have trailed. They're playing horrible. They got beat 5-0. Nashville was on a back-to-back. They had played a shootout in L.A., I bet the first period under. I said Nashville's just going to try to get a point here tonight. They got to try to muck this up. Beat them 5-0. They are in a world of trouble here, and they need to get. They have 4 games left. I think they can get 3 points. They can make it, but I'm not sure. They've lost 6 in a row. I think Edmonton's clearly the best team in the division.
Clearly,
no, it's not.
He's lost 6-1 at home.
It's not really close.
Would you hammer them against the Knights?
I was really hoping the Ducks could win the division. And then it would be Knights at Oilers first round, and you could just shove all in, right? Like we did with Winnipeg against the Oilers. Anyhow, I don't want to go back to those painful memories. What did they have beaten them? 7 in a row? Although the Knights have played very well against Edmonton twice now, those are the best games they've played in this last stretch. So it's interesting. But I do think Edmonton comes out of the Pacific. I'm not really worried about anybody else. And you've got an off shot if those other teams just beat the heck out of each other in the Central. Maybe you have a live shot in the Pacific Division. Let me move. I'm the word is transition to the DeBoer. I don't know if you were going to bring up DeBoer because Sunday morning it was Easter. I was at my son's hockey game when the news came across. Wah out, DeBoer in. Mm-hmm. I am shocked, not by the Islanders, by DeBoer. I think he could have waited and had either the Edmonton or the Toronto job if he wanted it. I mean, is he so in love with the Rookie of the Year, Schaefer, and Sorokin that because I don't love this roster other than those 2 players, and he signs the deal. Like Torts is an interim guy and see what happens. But I thought DeBoer could have had a number of jobs after this. I'm really surprised he took this job.
It's incredible how the recycled coaches, the shelf life in the NHL.
Well, but everywhere DeBoer goes, he's great for 3 or 4 years.
Immediately,
Takes you to the finals.
Oh, yeah.
He got fired for saying what's the truth, that Ottinger couldn't beat Edmonton, and he had to take him out, that he's a fake ace, and he got fired. But when he said it in the press conference, you knew one of the two had to go, and it wasn't going to be Ottinger.
Okay, I want this now because you told me you wanted to talk about this. I have no idea which direction you're going to go in, but you brought it up there. Fading aces making their third start of the season. What does that mean?
I didn't think it was a thing, but let's go back. Fried's third start, unhittable his first 2, 6 2/3, 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 earned runs. How about just yesterday? Skubal was not sharp at all.
No.
Couldn't strike people out. Gave up 8 hits to this AAA lineup in Minnesota. 4 earned runs. His first 2 walks of the year. Sanchez, very average last night in San Francisco. What? So I'm just sensing this pattern of these aces in their third starts. There's 2 examples that are actionable, I think. Framber tonight, who's been great his first 2 starts, is in Minnesota minus $1.55. And then I know people don't think he's an ace. I love this guy, though. He's had 2 great starts, and now it's his third one, and it's Lugo tomorrow at home to the White Sox. Maybe you take stands against these guys. There's a thing with the third starts for the best pitchers.
Was this Ohtani's second or third start today?
I think it's his third.
Third.
I think it's okay today.
Would you call him an ace, though, or no?
Well, not on that staff, but he is on many
overall,
teams,
generally
right?
speaking.
If he's going to pitch. If he's going to, you're going to get the guy to pitch 30 starts, 35 starts. I don't know.
How about this? He left. They lead right now 3-1, bottom of the 7th. He left after 6.
Yeah.
You would figure, well, 1 run by the Blue Jays. What, he strike out 9, 10 guys?
Yeah.
2 strikeouts?
That's it, huh?
The Blue Jays.
I was watching this on a small screen in Derek's office during lunch. I thought Cease wasn't going to get out of the first, and then he did.
How about Seattle?
Oh.
Got shut out. They get so bad.
How with that lineup are they the worst
kidding.
batting average in baseball? With that lineup.
They're lucky they have 4
Unders.
wins.
Yeah. Unders every game here. This Texas-Seattle thing was...
Also watch the weather on these games. You can't make the unders low enough. When they moved that Cleveland game to the daytime because it was going to be 12 degrees at night, and they put the total at 6, no shot to even get there. Look at the weather conditions.
I brought this up on the show yesterday. Now, we were on the air like after 3 games had started, so it was too late. But the Grand Salami yesterday I thought was a great day to play it under because of all that. And you had aces going.
It was all cold weather. All of it.
All of it was.
Yeah.
And you had a ton of,
aces.
They were making their third start, so I don't want to, how about that kid, though, Mizrachi, again? He doesn't
know how to pitch.
Not yet, but they don't pull him at 75 pitches, though, either. They let him go.
But I think he's going to be a reliever. I don't know that he's going to develop enough to be a starting pitcher and to go through a lineup 3 times.
More with the Maestro on deck. Doc Rivers must think he's Kurt Cignetti. You cannot be serious coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue Wednesdays with the Maestro, Mike Palm, VP of Circa Las Vegas. Time now for You Cannot Be Serious.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
All right, let's start out with the report that came from Shams yesterday.
Gold.
About a team meeting that was had by the Milwaukee Bucks on March 2nd. Now, on March 1st, the Bucks had been blown out by the god-awful Bulls, 120-97, and then were coming home to play a game against the Celtics. And in their team meeting that day, Doc Rivers got pretty feisty and told his team this: "Look at my resume. Google me. I took teams to the playoffs and championship that weren't supposed to be there. I thought this was going to be one of them." Well, Google me, that's the famous Kurt Cignetti phrase. When he got hired at Indiana, sure, people didn't know his record in Division III or in junior colleges. He said, "Google me, I win." Google, well, he did win. So I said, "Doc, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt." So I went to my trusty laptop and I Googled Doc Rivers. Well, here's what I wrote. What kind of a coach is Doc Rivers considered to be? This is literally from Google now, not deep AI search. Just Google. Doc Rivers is considered a good regular season coach, but is heavily criticized due to repeated playoff failures. He is widely viewed as a weak tactician. He has a reputation for losing series leads, including 3-1 or 3-2 collapses with both the Clippers and 76ers.
That's the record.
He frequently shifts the blame after playoff losses to others. That's Google. That's what it says about you. Doc Rivers!
You cannot be serious.
All right, now we're just going to go to Phoenix for the last 2. And we'll save Gino for last. But the group of people that cover women's college basketball, I want to know these people's names. It has to be made public. Every time I tried to find who asked this question, who asked that, it's anonymous report. Remember when they used to, in a press conference, they said, I'm Gene Smith from the, the Albuquerque Morning News or whatever. They don't do that anymore. Why? Because the questions are so stupid. I'm going to start out with when South Carolina won their regional, right? So Dawn Staley's up there with 2 of her players. Here's the first question. What has the platform of women's college basketball done to advance African-American women in the United States? That's the first question following the game. And Dawn Staley said, excuse me, can you repeat the question? And the guy asked, he thought he asked like a Pulitzer Prize winning question. Dawn Staley said, well, I thought we were going to talk about the regional or this victory or the Final Four. The guy asked the question again. One of her players was a great answer, said, I think the game has advanced the cause of all women, not just African-American women. Let's now move to the Final Four in Phoenix, which, Mitch, you and I had discussions about how far this Final Four set back women's college basketball. And I don't know if it's years, it might be decades. For all the theatrics around it and Gino and that nonsense, but how about how bad the games were? All 3 games were awful. They were awful.
8 of the last 9 went under.
I was sitting with Jim Jackson here watching the Final Four. He came down after he called the 2 semifinals in the Crown, as he did last year. He's a great hang, let me tell you. But I asked him, how much do you follow the women's game? He says, I do follow it, but the problem is it's a non-competitive sport. He said, there are no ups. There's no chance you can tune in on a Wednesday night and a team in the top 8 is ever going to lose the game. There's no drama to this regard. And we saw the 1 seeds were all double-digit favorites through the Elite 8. Let's go to 2 questions that were asked in the press conferences. How about after UConn, the undefeated UConn, 52 straight wins, they get beat by South Carolina to end their dreams. And the first question to AZ Fudd is, now that your college career is over, what players do you look forward to competing against in the WNBA? Can't get the name of the person that asked this question. I cannot get the name of the person that asked the question. I did a lot of research. I went through Tate. I went to ESPN. I went to everybody that covers this. You can't get it. They don't say their names. Maybe worse than that was Dawn Staley, who in her press conference on Saturday before the national championship game, the reporter asked her, how excited are you for Sanaya Hall to be coming to the Gamecocks program? Now, here's a little background. Sanaya Hall is the #1 high school basketball recruit in the country who committed to Southern Cal. Dawn Staley said, who? She said, Sanaya Hall. How excited are you that Sanaya Hall is coming to South Carolina? Dawn Staley said, is there transfer portal news I haven't heard of? What are you talking about? Ooh. Then the person next to her said something to her, and you know what the reporter said? Oh, I'm sorry, wrong USC.
Wrong USC.
Wrong USC. Wrong USC. Here's a problem with sports also that have not been in the spotlight, is you don't have a wide berth of people that want to cover them. So everybody that does, the announcers, the referees, the reporters who are covering a sport are just so much better in the men's game because that's what people aspire to do that have talent. It's something that's want to be done. And I think, I don't want to paint with a broad brush everyone, but I don't think we have that level of talent developed in the women's game. And maybe the popularity of the women's game because of Caitlin Clark has long outpaced the talent of the people covering it. Women's college basketball journalists.
You cannot be serious.
And we couldn't leave Gino out. You win 12 national titles. You go to 25 Final Fours. You win 82% of your games. And you just can't take losing. You just absolutely cannot stand losing. 886, by the way, of his game. If you take away the first 3 years, he wins 92% of his games. Cannot stand to lose. Iowa knocked them out, remember? Iowa knocked them out a few years ago. Caitlin Clark has no career in the WNBA. Game's not going to transition. Game's not. I went back, somebody put on Twitter, it was pretty good, when they were asking about Candace Parker when she dunked in a game against UConn. And somebody asked Pat Summitt, did Candace dunk twice in that game? And she said, no, only once. Gino couldn't have handled twice.
Oh.
Right? Gino couldn't have handled twice. What he did with Staley is ridiculous.
Yep.
And everybody knows what happened. I don't have to recount it. He yelled at her. She didn't shake his hand. I want to clarify something here. She shook his hand 30 minutes before the game, right? Before the shoot-around, which she doesn't like to shake anybody's hand, and he knows that. And by the way, these two don't like each other, let me tell you. But then he came out after they announced the starting five. They reintroduced both coaches after they've introduced both teams, and they come to half court. She didn't come back out of her huddle to shake his hand at that point, and that's what he wanted to complain about. Well, what he wanted to complain about was the officiating, that there were 6 fouls on UConn and none on South Carolina in the third quarter. I want to go back to this rivalry. Okay? This rivalry started with Dawn Staley playing Gino. They played every year but the pandemic year, right? Going back to 2014. Here's what UConn did to them early. And they played home and homes every year and sometimes met in the NCAA tournament. Gino wins 87-62, 66-54, 66-55, 83-58, 94-65, 82-58, 97-79. Then finally in 2020, South Carolina beats him 70-52. Okay? Then UConn beats South Carolina at the end of the 21 season in the national championship game. All right? Then South Carolina beats them in the championship game 69-49. And then the next year in the regular season game, South Carolina beats them 81-77. At this point, he's 8-3 against Dawn Staley, and he said the whole game of college basketball has to change. It's not basketball what she teaches. These officials, they're manhandling Aaliyah Edwards. It's not bad. If they're going to allow this, she's going to win every year, every year, every year, every year. This goes back to 23. February 5th, 23. What Dawn Staley said, he kicked my head in for 10 years. I didn't say a word about the officiating. We beat him 3 out of 5, and now everything has got to change. They don't like each other. So for him to go up and have this confrontation with her and make it about some ridiculous issue about her not shaking his hand a second, it's just so petty. It's so petty, and it's such a bad look for the game of basketball. I don't know if he overcomes this when you talk about his legacy. The Clark comments and this nonsense certainly will taint his legacy. Gino Auriemma.
You cannot be serious!
And I'll tell you this, watching, and I did pretty much go through the entire game with Texas UCLA that was that Friday night. One of the ugliest games I've ever watched in my entire life, and it made me think Caitlin Clark's not close to being in this sport right now, meaning there are no more Caitlin Clarks coming along. Maybe that was the girl at USC before she blew out her knee, unfortunately, and she has a great game.
She'll be back, and with the top recruit. That's going to be the number 1 team next year, by the way.
But it made me think, again, how terribly the former players and coaches treated Caitlin Clark when she was in college basketball and when she was going to enter the WNBA. It never made any sense to me.
You know, they talked about South Carolina before the title game, after they beat UConn, how badly they still haunted by losing to Caitlin in the national semifinals that year. They were undefeated, and they won by 4, right? With a group of people that never would see the WNBA ever, right? She beat a team, this Dawn Staley's team, that's dominated the sports with a bunch of girls that are going to be teachers and pharmacists, and to your point, none of them will want to kill her for it.
That's exactly right. Yep.
How about the apology? And he doesn't mention Staley in the apology.
First of all, that was the school. He didn't want to issue that. The school issued that.
Yeah.
Then he came out and said he texted her or whatever. They're going to move on with their lives.
On vsin.com, completely free, no subscription needed. Access MLB and NBA prop projections powered by OptAI, plus real-time betting splits from DK and Circa. Pro-level tools, 0 cost, only for a limited time. Head to vsin.com. Start using them today. It's incredible. You type it in, last 7, last 20, everything you want NBA, vsin.com. Get it now.
That's a new segment right there. Google me.
Google me.
Because I can't wait for the Maestro's results. Great job, Mike. Good to see you.
Thank you.
We'll update Major League Baseball coming up next year on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We do have, 4 more games coming up tonight, Major League Baseball. We'll get to the A's and the Yankees. The Yankees are awesome to begin the season here. I think this is going to continue throughout the entire year, but I'll start with this Reds-Marlins game. Reds have now won 5 straight. It's Singer against Yuri Perez, a good, great young phenom here for the Fish. But I thought this was intriguing based on, and maybe something to monitor with Sandy Alcantara moving forward, who was pulled out of a potential complete game again last night. And he, by the way, was dealing the entire game. It was like a complete game shutout on pace the entire time until the 9th. He was pulled, bullpen blew it. They lose in extras, game goes over. You get the story. So he said after the game, quote, "I think I deserve to be asked how I feel before, take me out of the game."
Yes.
End of quote. Pulled in the 9th at 95 pitches. What are we doing?
I'm always a let the guy work and get out of it on his own guy. And it happened yesterday in the Mets game. 2 outs, Bases loaded, top of the fifth, and they take Peralta out.
Right.
And then the bullpen gives it up. Let him get out of it. Let him clean up his mess. And in that situation, he's been so good. And it just seemed, I don't like also the guy coming in and there's ducks on the pond. I want to give him a clean slate too. Yeah. Certainly. And then if he makes one mistake, you blow it, which I just thought it was ridiculous. And they'll come back with the fourth time through the order, all that crap. But the guy's cooking. And I thought that was a poor decision. And certainly condolences if you had them. And the worst beat was the total. Because suddenly 2-0 becomes 6-3.
That should have been a Miami win. Instead, it goes down as a loss. And the 5th straight win for the Big Red Machine. This is a system play. Steve Mackinnon has it, vsin.com. And, you like to bet on hot teams, Pauly, streaky teams. But how do teams do when they're on a winning streak of 5 games or more? Well, when they're playing non-divisional opponents, 237 and 156 over their last 393 games. That is plus 35.36 units, ROI of 9%. Cincinnati at plus money today would qualify. I will point out that there was also a system play today per Mackinnon. They're not always going to be winners, obviously, but it was on the Brewers, and that was a loser there. So that system play was no good. The Reds qualify as one of his system plays coming up tonight. I did play in this A's-Yankees game. Severino takes on Warren. Remember, Severino's home road splits last year were quite different. When he was pitching in Sacramento, he was terrible. When he was pitching on the road, he was really good. And he's at Yankee Stadium tonight. But Opta AI, I'll point this out first. They really like the total bases, the numbers specifically for Nick Kurtz, Shea Langoliers, and Brett Rooker, 2+ total bases at a nice plus price on each. I think Nick Kurtz was the highest edge they had earlier today out of any player or batter prop. But I played Will Warren, K-prop again, over. No surprise here. I did it his last start. That was a day game, Matt Vasgersian special last week when he was pitching at the Bronx. I also bet Schlittler over last night. Now, that took like the entire start from Schlittler to get there, but he did in the final inning that he went, and he had 7. But his K-prop tonight is 5.5, and the juice is respectable in the minus 108, minus 110 range. So
no Ben Rice?
What do you mean?
Ben Rice props, total bases?
You like him?
Number 1 on the team and on base and slugging.
He's having a great year. I know that.
Yep. So Stanton's off to a hot start, too. They're both plus money to have 2+ total bases. And I think they get to Severino. And the bullpen's been okay now, the last couple games as well. So there's a lot to look at there with the Yankees.
Well, interesting, by the way, that Mike Palm pointed that out. Aces making their 3rd start. Now, it wasn't every 3rd start, obviously, for all these aces, but he did have a nice list of guys who went yesterday. And now the one to maybe look at fading tonight would be Valdez. But it's also the Twins. No, the Twins did get the Scooble last night, and that's difficult to do, as we all know. Can they do it back-to-back nights? The only thing I have on tonight's slate would be that K-prop on Warren.
I would trust Valdez and the Tigers here. 2-0 when he starts, 2-7 when he doesn't. They've mixed up the lineup and moved guys around. That's been a problem. Torres is finding his way on base with a plethora of walks on the season. But I just don't think this Twins thing can continue with what they're doing in this bad outfit. And again, I don't know, maybe it's a no atmosphere and playing in front of 10 people. But I think they get right tonight, and Valdez gets the win.
By the way, the other night game tonight is Cubs at the Rays. Ray takes on Boyle. My apologies yesterday. I did not know until we were off the air at 4 o'clock Pacific time, and that's when that game was going to start. I made a strong case yesterday to bet the Rays, and a lot of that had to do with who was on the mound for the Cubs. He was fine. Assad was actually really good in the game, but it also had to do with Rasmussen making the start. The Rays did not announce. I missed this when we were live on the air. It would not have been a bet. So I apologize if you tell me on this. I had no clue until the game started. Rasmussen and his wife had a baby a little early. So it was like a late scratch, not even an hour before the game, from what I understand. And so he didn't pitch, and they brought in some other guy. I don't remember who it was, because as soon as I saw that he was pitching and Rasmussen was out, I'm like, oh, this is not good. And they killed him immediately. I'm like, oh, that bat's completely dead.
But it's starting to hit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you see the incident down the right field line with the big fella?
I did. I wish I didn't.
No belt, apparently? I got that. Announcers on Marquee didn't say a word for a good minute.
Oh.
You just let that sit there and just like, what did I just see? All that for a $7 baseball? I think somebody I didn't expect to see a full moon.
I mean, we're talking pants all the way down.
Oh, I know.
Hello.
What? God, it's the damnedest thing.
Wrong place at the wrong time for the camera.
I know. He's just got the whole row to himself, and apparently the big fella didn't pack a belt.
Well, you used to be a pork chop. Did you wear a belt all the time?
Yes,
you had to,
damn
right? Yeah.
You got to.
Pants never fell down?
One time, right? Yeah, but I wasn't in front of people, It was tough. I think I told that story. I lost a ton of weight because I was sick. I had bronchitis and something. It was so bad. I lost like 25 pounds, and I was living right by the Hard Rock.
I think it was lupus is what you had.
Right, and I had to all of a sudden, haul ass to get across the street, and oh boy, I didn't realize I've lost that much weight.
And just right down to your ankles?
No, I had to hold them up. Not like that guy yesterday. I couldn't believe that. I mean, but it's just I don't get these. Well, you know all about this. I don't get adults behaving that way over just like a silly baseball or an Easter egg hunt or whatever it may be. And it goes back to how parents have ruined it for their kids growing up playing sports, where I want to live through them and the Almontes and all this other stuff and fake birth certificates. And I didn't become anything in athletics. Let me live through him, and I'm going to yell at the umpire, even though my kid's 7 years old, you lunatic.
Well, this will be good. So let me expand. You brought it up. I'll say it on the air.
I didn't know if I was going to bring it up. $7 baseball. The guy almost killed himself, and I saw his ass.
So for those of you in the audience, fathers, mothers, whomever might be listening, right? You have a young one out there. Doesn't matter the age. Lorraine and I took Sebastian, who's going to be 2 in a couple of weeks, to his first ever Easter egg hunt over the weekend. There must have been, I'm not joking, 4,000 people here, right? And it started at noon. And leading up to it, they kept announcing on the microphone, now 0 to 3 age group, you're going to go first. They said they're going to put out 1,000 eggs per session. So there are going to be 4 sessions, right? And by the way, there was an age group of 11 to 17 for an Easter egg hunt.
Come on.
What are we doing here?
That's madness.
There's got to be a cutoff age where, and I don't even know what that would be, but it feels like 8, 9, 10 tops. Come on, you can't be a teenager
14?
and be out there on an Easter egg hunt.
That's freshmen in high school.
Yes.
14.
Yes.
Easter egg hunt.
Who's 17 going on an Easter egg hunt? Anyway, so they kept announcing, if you're 4 and above, come back to the pack. And oh, by the way, only take 2 to 3 eggs out there so there's enough eggs for everybody. Well, they said this 30 times in the microphone. It's noon. Eventually, that's the deadline. Okay, here we go. In 90 seconds, Pauly, I swear to God, every egg they put on this hill was gone, completely gone. And they made a mistake. They said they were going to put 1,000 out there for each group. They expected parents and kids to leave eggs up on the hill for every group. They actually put 4,000. Every egg they had up there, they put up on the hill. They were wiped out in 90 seconds. Sebastian never got one. A ton of kids never got any of them, because by the time we got up there, we saw adults walking back with Easter baskets, 15, 20 eggs in them. There were adults and 8, I'm going to guess, 10 or 12-year-old kids pushing people out of the way to get eggs. And they were gone, completely gone in 90 seconds.
Yep.
I
you
have
can
no...
tie it into so many things.
Oh, my God. And
Trick-or-treating, what's the cutoff age? Why? Oh, if it's free, I'm going to take 1. I'll take 20 Kit Kats.
Bingo.
It's also behaving like that at sporting events and living through your kids. And it's also going back to why do you show up an hour early to pick your kid up from school?
Yep. So I didn't want to, but here we go. I know it's completely relatable. I put this out on Twitter, and the responses I got were all pretty much the same.
Okay.
And it's just like, Mitch, you wait until Sebastian's old enough to play sports.
Oh, yeah.
And the first response I got was from a gentleman who said, I was a Little League ump forever. I couldn't take it anymore. And he added this on the tweet. The kids were great, ...
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Yeah.
And that's obviously, from what I've heard from everybody, the parents are the absolute scum of the earth. The worst. What kind of society are we living in? Can you imagine if it ever comes down to Hunger Games?
Oh, God. I know. Well said.
Forget it.
Just for a little treat.
For an Easter egg, a plastic Easter egg with like one piece of whatever candy. Yes.
Adults.
What a turnoff.
If it's free, it's for me. I'll take 3.
Yep. Intriguing scenarios in the NBA tonight. Seeding purposes, possibilities that are on the line. We'll discuss with Zach Cohen coming up here on VSiN.